In the heart of ancient Greece, where gods meddled in the lives of mortals, a hero was born. Not just any hero, but Heracles, son of Zeus himself. But his divine bloodline painted a target on his back. Hera, queen of the gods and Zeus's eternally jealous wife, despised him. She sent 2 serpents to his crib, a test of life and death for the infant. But Heracles, with a strength that defied his age, simply crushed them, one in each hand. This was just the beginning. His power was a gift, but Hera's wrath would twist it into a curse. Driven mad by the goddess, Heracles committed an unthinkable act, one that would haunt him for the rest of his days. When the madness cleared, he was left shattered by grief and shame. Seeking purification, he traveled to the oracle at Delphi. The oracle's decree was absolute. To atone for his sins, he must serve his cousin, King Eurystheus, and complete any 10 labors the king demanded. Little did Heracles know the cowardly king, guided by Hera's malice, would devise 12 tasks so perilous they were deemed impossible. These were the 12 labors of Heracles. His first trial was to face the Nemean Lion, a monstrous beast whose golden fur was impervious to any weapon. Spears shattered, arrows bounced off, and his sword was useless. Realizing mortal tools were futile, Heracles wrestled the beast with his bare hands, his divine strength against its raw fury. In a titanic struggle, he trapped the lion in its own lair and choked it to death. He then skinned the beast using its own razor-sharp claw, creating the legendary impenetrable cloak he would wear for the rest of his days. 1 labor down, 11 to go. Next, Heracles was sent to destroy the Lernaean Hydra, a multi-headed water serpent with a venomous breath so toxic it could kill with a single whiff. For every head he severed, 2 more grew in its place. And to make matters worse, Hera sent a giant crab to distract him. It was a chaotic, seemingly unwinnable battle. But Heracles was more than just brawn. He called upon his nephew, Iolaus, for aid. As Heracles sliced off a head, Iolaus would cauterize the wound with a flaming torch, preventing new heads from sprouting. Finally, only the one immortal head remained. Heracles buried it deep beneath a massive boulder, ending the creature's reign of terror. He then dipped his arrows in the Hydra's toxic blood, creating deadly weapons for the challenges ahead. The tasks kept coming, each designed to break him. He chased the Ceryneian hind, a deer with golden antlers sacred to the goddess Artemis, for an entire year across mountains and valleys before finally capturing it without harm. Then he had to trap the Erymanthian boar, a terrifying beast that ravaged the countryside. Using his wits, he drove the boar into a deep snowbank where he could bind it and carry it back to Eurystheus. The sight of the massive, struggling boar so terrified the king that he hid inside a large bronze jar. These labors tested not only his strength, but his endurance and cunning. The 5th labor was designed for pure humiliation, to clean the Augean stables in a single day. King Augeas owned thousands of cattle, and his stables hadn't been cleaned in 30 years. The filth was legendary. But Heracles saw an opportunity where others saw only disgust. He diverted the courses of 2 powerful rivers, the Alpheus and the Peneus, and sent a torrent of water rushing through the stables, washing them clean in a matter of hours. He had turned a demeaning task into a brilliant feat of engineering. But the trials grew even more bizarre and deadly. He was tasked with driving away the Stymphalian birds, man-eating creatures with bronze beaks and metallic feathers they could launch like arrows. They infested a dense, swampy forest where he couldn't reach them. This time, he received help from the goddess Athena, who gave him a bronze rattle. The deafening noise startled the birds into the open sky, where Heracles with his Hydra-poisoned arrows could pick them off one by one. His journey was becoming a tour of the mythical world's deadliest monsters. From Greece, Eurystheus sent him across the sea to Crete to capture the Cretan bull, a magnificent but savage animal that was breathing fire and destroying the island. After a ferocious struggle, Heracles overpowered the bull and shipped it back to the mainland. Then came an even stranger task, to steal the mares of Diomedes. These weren't ordinary horses, they were vicious man-eating beasts trained by their master, the ruthless King Diomedes. Heracles defeated the king and fed him to his own mares, which calmed them enough to be led away. The message was clear. Cruelty would be met with its own brutal justice. His 9th labor took him to the land of the Amazons, the legendary tribe of warrior women. His mission, to obtain the girdle of their queen, Hippolyta. Initially, Hippolyta was impressed by the hero and freely offered him her girdle as a gift. But Hera, ever the meddler, disguised herself as an Amazon and spread a rumor that Heracles was there to abduct their queen. The Amazons attacked, and in the tragic battle that followed, Hippolyta was killed. Heracles escaped with the girdle, but the victory was bittersweet, a reminder of how the gods' games had devastating consequences. The labors now took Heracles to the very edges of the known world. For his 10th task, he had to journey to the mythical red island of Erythea to steal the cattle of the 3-bodied giant, Geryon. To get there, he crossed the Libyan desert. Annoyed by the heat, he fired an arrow at Helios, the sun god. Amused by his audacity, Helios lent Heracles his golden chariot, a giant cup, to sail across the ocean. On the island, Heracles defeated Geryon and his 2-headed guard dog, Orthrus, and drove the cattle all the way back to Greece, a long and arduous journey filled with its own side adventures. With 10 labors complete, Heracles should have been free. But Eurystheus, claiming the Hydra and Augean stables didn't count because he had help, added 2 more impossible tasks. The 11th was to steal the golden apples of the Hesperides, which grew in a garden at the world's end, guarded by a 100-headed dragon named Ladon. On his way, Heracles encountered the Titan Atlas, who was condemned to hold up the sky for all eternity. Heracles offered to hold the heavens for a moment if Atlas would fetch the apples for him. Atlas agreed, but upon his return, he tried to trick Heracles into taking his burden permanently. Thinking fast, Heracles pretended to agree but asked Atlas to take the sky back for just a moment so he could adjust his cloak. As soon as the foolish Titan took the weight, Heracles grabbed the apples and walked away, a triumph of mind over muscle. The 12th and final labor was the most terrifying of all, to descend into the underworld and bring back Cerberus, the 3-headed guard dog of Hades. This was a journey no mortal had ever returned from. With guidance from the gods, Heracles navigated the realm of the dead. He confronted Hades himself, who agreed to let him borrow Cerberus on one condition: he had to subdue the beast with his bare hands. Protected only by his lion's skin cloak, Heracles wrestled the monstrous hound into submission. He dragged Cerberus to the world of the living, presented the snarling beast to the petrified King Eurystheus, and then dutifully returned it to its master in the Underworld. So what does this epic saga of monsters and heroes really mean? The 12 labors are more than just adventure stories. They represent a profound journey of redemption and self-discovery. Heracles begins as a man broken by guilt, forced into servitude. But with each labor, he confronts not just external monsters, but his own inner demons. He learns to use his wits, not just his strength. He faces humiliation, navigates betrayal, and pushes the boundaries of human endurance. The journey to the underworld and back is the ultimate symbol of spiritual rebirth, confronting death itself and emerging transformed. Heracles proves that even from the darkest mistakes, a person can rise, atone, and forge their own destiny, transforming a curse into a legend that would echo through eternity. Thank you so much for joining me on this mythological journey. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. See you next time.